So apparently his name was supposed to be pronounced as mlynar. I only know this when I'm starting to edit this video, so please bear with me. Apparently his story is pretty tragic because, you know, he has this sad music running in the background. I haven't met him yet in the story, so let's see how well they can pull off the story in this quest. Oh, you see that on the top right side of the screen? Yeah, so in this event specifically, you're supposed to like get this currency from playing the game and just like grinding stuff. So yeah, I basically got everything. Let me pick this up real quick. Oh, what is this? Oh, an outfit. I don't really have Hue, but I guess I'm going to go ahead and pick it up. Information fragments. I was told that this is important, so let's go ahead and grab that as well. Operate your modules, and I'm running out of currency. Okay, I'm going to get more, of course. The event still has 6 more days to go. But anyway, I want to jump into the story. Where? Is it this one? Oh, this is just some bonus. Is this the story? Oh, I see. So this is like the personal story quest, and to get that, you need to use that currency that we just get. Okay. Hermit Abode. Far in the past, before the story of a knight's breaking of the tides was written into a novel, the deafening sound of cannon fire and the reverberating bowstrings could often be heard in the breezing blowing through the forest. In those days, the masses firmly believed they were trapped in darkness. They cast the weight of life and death upon the earth, spilling blood as the price of both survival and remonstrance. Now, as the late autumn sun beams gently down on the open plains, a farmer strikes his hammer rhythmically to repair his roof before the oncoming rainstorm. In a graveyard at the foot of the mountain, a small group of men swing their iron tools, shoveling away dirt by the scoopful. As a chorus of sobs ring out in the background, they bury their withered crops into the earth. November 27th, 3:20 p.m. Countryside, Southern Kazimierz. So, you're wandering on the land all by yourself now, sir? No servants, no followers, not even a sword of armor? Though it doesn't seem there's anybody looking to make an enemy of you. I still remember how a lot of folks back in the day said you were antagonizing the most prestigious families in the country, and that you'd find yourself in trouble sooner or later. Didn't those the very same people accept emergency supplies that could get themselves in trouble? I've long since left the arena where those with influence scheme against each other. No longer am I worthy of their precious attention. Right. I suppose you wouldn't be surprised. Just like when I fled to these foreign lands all those years ago, I thought the king would be after me with his arts forever. But as you can see, this old school teacher has lived peacefully for some 20-odd years in a small hut that can so much as withstand the rain. You say you're from Lithuanian. The Witch King's spire is long fallen. Why stay here? I've been in hiding for too long now. I no longer have any desire to come back. It took a long time for the news to reach this remote village, and by then, I'd already found myself accustomed to tending to the farms, and only having to worry about keeping myself fed. Besides, I cut off my antlers to disguise myself. I've gotten used to living like a Kuranta. Say my family is still alive in Lithuanian, would they even recognize me? But you consider yourself a Lithuanian nonetheless. I'm just a poor fellow who can put his old life behind him, sir. The zealots in me passed away long ago, and a man who's lived in hiding for so long doesn't much care about who he really is. I suppose you're here to revisit this place? I have little to give, but if you'd accept a hot cup of tea, it would be my pleasure. No need. Very well, sir. It's only that I still remember your kindness all those years ago. Old as I may now be. When everyone else was exchanging pleasantries in their Casimir's dialects, you saw through my ruse. Yet instead of exposing me, you allowed me to remain in the caravan of refugees. Seems you don't remember. You don't remember a thing I just said, but you weren't the least surprised when I recognized you. You must have rescued so many others like me. It was too long ago. Are you writing a notice? You mean this here? Yeah, it's a safety notice. A knight came to our village just yesterday. Supposedly a group of bandits have moved into the area. There's even been attacks in Zonek. But anyone with half a brain knows that even if there were bandits, no one would go out of their way to protect a small village like ours, so far from the nomadic city's paths. Which is why the campaign knight's solemn reminder left me very frightened. Sir, even if no one wants to do harm right this moment, I suggest bring your weapon with you. That's what the campaign knights told you? So you haven't heard. Come to think of it though, it is strange. These past few years, the knights have started to worry about the lives and deaths of us commoners. Take the few families that moved into the village 2 years ago. The knights rescued them when a catastrophe struck the next town over. That's not what I find strange. It's what he should have done in the first place. Well, you certainly gave us... Okay, alright. Multiple male characters. I still cannot give like distinct voices for all of them. Maybe this one is like a... again, I don't know the character, so... Well, you certainly gave us a fright, Shibar. If you hadn't taken your helmets off in time, the villagers might just have drawn their bows at you. If, heaven forbid, an esteemed campaign knight such as yourself were to get hurt, my rap sheet may be long enough as it is, but the bounty of my hat still has room to grow. Villagers. Ha! Good thing you remember my face. At least most of you do. There aren't many of you old pals among the living. Plenty of new blood, though. Now, that's no reason for a long face for the likes of us. So, how can I help? For you to come to such a small backwater village on patrol? I suppose it can be because you're bored at work, eh? After all, I hear this area hasn't been very peaceful of late, and the campaign knights have been very busy maintaining order outside the cities. I even heard that a couple of our folks are being investigated by you. That's exactly why I came, Tolan. If you're the leader of the bounty hunters here, that makes this simpler. I'm sure you know, but I have rules to follow first. Ah, so you're not only following the rules. That's rare. Should we have a more private chat then? The last time we met, old mlynar wanted to see you. Too bad. We were in a hurry to evacuate. And you were in a hurry to follow your rules and head back for debriefing. He ended up dying on his sickbed 2 years ago. Take a look down there. You can see the industrial district on the other side of the river valley. You couldn't have picked a better spot for your stronghold. Oh, looks like a big operation. What about it? That used to be the Palanikos estate. Feeling nostalgic? A little. But I digress. I don't know how hostile you hunters are towards me, but I'd prefer not to make things too difficult for you. No need to worry. Most of us folks here aren't old buddies. But at the very least, they aren't so rash that they attack a fully armored campaign knight captain. No, that's not what I'm worried about. Wait, did I ever told you about my promotion? Why so surprised? I'll give you that your campaign knights can be awfully cloak and dagger with your info. But you've been their leaders for years now. Can we really be called hunters if we can get our hands on even that much intel? Say, for example, About the black lens who pierces the starry sky, and the knight who charges towards catastrophe. Fine, fine. There's nothing I can do but your intel. Besides, it's hardly honorable to hunt down whoever betrayed us. You already know my combat prowess is nothing to write home about, and the few achievements I have to my name are barely worth mentioning. And I knew you'd say that too. What do I do without you? So, the recent attacks. Did you really catch wind of something? Or did the higher-ups only send you here for show? It's not often that a campaign knight gets transferred to the boondocks for something that happens in the cities. Maybe it's a little of both. But I'll promise you this, Tolan. Your hunters will be released safe and sound. They were taken into custody by patrolling campaign knights. There should never have been a misunderstanding like this between the two of us. Of course, you aren't one to wrongfully accuse the innocent. I can say we're the most upstanding men you'll find anywhere, but we really have nothing to do with this. You'll have to wait a little longer though. I can only let them go after the investigations are over. Then I trust they won't take too long. You could have just written that in a letter, you know? But you went through the trouble of meeting us face to face. You have something else to say, don't you? Your hunter, the one-eyed Zalak, he explains what you guys are here for. And I'm guessing he didn't have the guts to lie to you. He said you got a distress message from some villagers. We may only call ourselves an NGO as a way to gather intel, but if someone wants our help and can afford it, we're more than happy to step up. And that's the honest truth. We're here to help. Our methods may not be what you call noble, though. I know you're doing the right thing. That's why I feel so guilty. Listen, Tolan. I want you guys to at least postpone your operation. Don't get yourself involved in this investigation. And you should stay away from any of the companies that took on the Zonek city renovation project too. Sounds like you've got something big on your plate. Is someone trying to get rid of dissidents through your folks? Ha! Anyway, thanks for the advice. Seeing as you went out of your way to warn me, I'll play along for now. You wouldn't mind if I went ahead and gave my men a heads up first, would you? Otherwise, they might just go kidnap some poor sod. Alright, now let's talk about that sword you're carrying on your waist. Considering how old our knight friends has never changed weapons all these years, there's no mistake. You met mlynar, haven't you? It's nothing strange if we haven't heard about the recent chaos here, sir. You came here via the Barrenlands, so you most likely haven't been to Zonek yet. If you haven't come across any messengers to buy a newspaper from, you wouldn't have heard the latest news.
Mr. Summer, so that's where you are. I've put a notice up.
Ah, Eva. Good work.
Don't mention it. It's not often I got to help you out. So, if I may ask, who's this gentleman you're talking to?
He's an incredible knight.
Oh, I see. Welcome. I noticed you've been standing there for quite some time. Are you here to check out on the area? I heard a lot of knights have been buying land outside the cities for their vacation homes lately. It's starting to become a trend. We haven't had any catastrophes, and there aren't any infected in the nearby villages. You couldn't ask for a cleaner place. Or perhaps you're here representing a corporation. I saw in this morning's paper that the Gale Industries has a lot of open positions. Apparently they're hiring for the new construction in Zonek. Anyone they think can get the job done, even the infected, gets a chance to go work at the city. Did Gale Industries sponsor a nightclub?
Eva, I just remembered that I had a letter for the village chief. Would you do me another favor?
Of course, no problem. You mean right now? Okay.
My apologies. The folks here have been very interested in people from the cities as of late. You'll have to forgive them for their manners. You came here from the path to the north. You must see in the new factories over by the river valley. Strumiko and Swierza are close to the city's path, and both have sold their land, or so the taxman told us. That's why so many here dream of our village catching the eyes of the large corporations, letting us sell our land and move into the cities. Absurd. Right. It is an absurd idea. I'm old. I don't expect much from life anymore. Kids like them, though, should at least be allowed to daydream. I ran from Lithanian in a hurry because I said the wrong thing and offended the wrong man. In the old days, I was a scholar who offered lip service to the nobles of the Spire. Now, my hair is as hoary as it gets. All that's on my mind is how to keep myself warm and fed, and that's more than enough to consume all my sanity. Their situation is no different from mine, but even a false dream is enough to widen their perspective when they lift up their heads and look ahead. It's not my wish to criticize anyone. And even if there were someone worthy of my criticism, they're not here. If you're here to revisit the village though, I'm afraid it will disappoint. I'm looking for someone, and merely passing through. Have you met 2 campaign knights in gold? Gold? Most of the ones who passed in the recent years were equipped with silver armor and lances. As for any exceptions, my apologies, but I can't recall. No need to trouble yourself. If you've seen them, you'll remember. Are you searching without a lead? If you have any other clues, I could try to come up with something, or at least point you in a direction. Have you had any fleets of construction vehicles pass through the area in the recent years? No. Then there's no need to point me anywhere. I remember.
We won't forget this, you narrow family punk. You humiliated our master today, but we'll make those wordless bastards you so sympathize with pay for this 1,000-fold.
We can certainly pass this legislation to quell public opinion, but I'm sure you know that the remote wilderness is far outside the reach of the Judicator's tendrils. Without you, their voice would never even have reached the Grand Knight territory.
Enough! Let's stop here. The squad's made it far enough. It doesn't matter how much you want it. Even if I keep fighting with you, Kazimierz will never be a place where I can sit down with you nobles on an equal footing.
Help! Sir Knight! Sir Knight! We met before, haven't we? Please! Please help me! I can't die in this tent! My kid will be back tomorrow morning! I can't...
Sorry, Mlynar, I can answer that. A sharp whistle can be heard, and the 2 conversing men each take a step back. A large General Chamber of Commerce transport drives by. The white spray-painted logo on the container stares down at the pedestrian walking by. The transport's wheels drive over the dirt road, kicking up a trail of dust behind it as the engine's roar is carried away by the wind into the autumn wilderness. The bladeless knights fall silent. He and the iron behemoth stare at one another until it leaves him behind. Then he turns around and slowly walks away, following the path he had already decided on. Beside the uneven grooves left behind by the truck's tires, the knight leaves no tracks whatsoever.
Sir?
Why did that Kazimierz knight seem so disappointed? Why did he set his sword down, and why is he still willing to move forward? It's been some 20 years. Perhaps it's finally time I agreed to take Eva to see the world outside. We met by chance not far from the factories over there. Well, that sure is. Worth a trip down memory lane, eh? What was he doing there? I would guess he was probably lost, After all, it's been so many years since the last time we were here. Ha! Perhaps you'd like to say that to his face? I'll pass. And here I thought he'd head towards Ursus. After all, he left the Grand Knight territory in search of his family. But I also remember us speculating all those years ago that the northern winds and tundra his brother wrote about in his letters were made up, right? Only the top echelon of the Adeptus probably knows the truth where those two respected knights actually went. Sounds like you haven't heard anything new during your years with the campaign knights. Regrettably, he's not the only one who can get over it. I had a dream a couple nights ago. It was fake, but I remember all of us gathered together, discussing where the two missing Narrows went. Let's just say he's here for a vacation then. We haven't heard anything for years, and mlynar is not stupid. Right. Did you tell him about how poor the public order has been these days? He's in the neighborhood. He might just give you a hand. Yes, I was indeed hoping he'd help out. That's why I brought his weapon to the Knight's Club's craftsman for some adjustments. Right. Someone as particular about weapons as you wouldn't have been able to stand the sight of it, huh? Even if he had no need for a sword in his job, the Narrows must know some smiths in the Grand Knight's territory who could keep his weapon in a decent shape. Well, they do. Remember that time we joined in on the action during the conflict with Ursus? mlynar ordered me to conduct some nightclubs, right? Those who later called by hunters Sarka's nightclub are all old friends of the Nerl family. They used to follow Kirill's and Schnitz, and they also saw how daring and spirited mlynar was on the battlefield. Hell, even his niece is a craftsman too. She's young enough that she's got no idea what he's been up to though. Almost threw herself into the whole mess with the Casimir's major event. But given his temper, do you really think he'd ask any of them for help? Haha. If you ask me, I think he probably could have. Do you think he's still got any use for his sword though? Would he still be willing to help take care of the trouble? And not out of friendship, but as a knight? Where's this coming from? Because I've got a personal feud. For 10 years, I looked up to the knight captain before me as my mentor. He never asked about my background, nor did he care if I offended any nobles. For that, I respected him. And all that respect evaporated the moment I took over his position and all the paperwork of the entire nightclub. That was when I saw for myself the vile corruption behind the discipline and chivalry that I tried so faithfully to execute. I'm not trying to accuse every last campaign knight in Casimir's. It's just that my position has always been a far cry from the glorious noble knighthood I aspire to. You sure you want to tell a bounty hunter that? I've got to have at least one old friend who'd listen to me vent. You know, I just want to be honest with a man who followed the rules. You probably think the code of knighthood isn't inflexible, but at least it doesn't kill. At the very least, it wouldn't have let Selena die like that. She's gone? When? It's been a few years now. Sorry, it's not easy for me to bring this up. Though, mlynar knows. Back then, when Selena was taken to the Grand Knight territory, I wrote him a letter asking for help. If she was taken to the Grand Knight territory, that must have been quite out of hand. That's why he couldn't do anything for her. And I could understand that. I know he wasn't the one who got her killed, and I won't take it out on him. But I never got a reply to that letter. Which is why, when we met again today, I couldn't help but bring it up. If my letter had gotten buried under the pile of condolences for Kirill's death, then I could only blame myself for being unlucky. But he admitted to having received and read it. Yet he chose not to talk about the past, or to even acknowledge my hatred. When did he become the sort of man who turned away when faced with questions of right and wrong? Oh. Well, then let me ask a little question. If you weren't going to ask the bounty hunters for help, yet you were going to drag him into your revenge plot, were you trying to get him on your side, or is he another target? Please don't misunderstand me. Oh, that's it. Okay. Honestly, for the writing and like the dialogue written in there, it was a far cry from the campaign that we have in episode 0 to 2. At least here, like the dialogues flow nicely with each other. And I know this is like not a fair comparison because this is written, well, basically like last month, right? By the writers for this update. Meanwhile, like the story for episode 0 was written like 3 years ago when this game was released, but they get better at writing this. Of course, that doesn't mean I understand everything that happened here. There are like a lot of names, a lot of accidents, I guess, like tragedies that happen in his background that I have no reference for. Because at the end of the day, I don't know what kind of tragedy that befalls Neryl's family, and I don't want any of you to spoil it to me. I want to experience it myself in the story. So maybe I'm going to understand this later when I reach that point in the story, but overall, this is a pretty decent writing. Now, I don't know the consequences of knowing this before I actually get to the story where he matters, but what I do know is that he is searching for his niece. So yeah, there's also like this quest over here, which is like a regular tower defense level. I hope that this is going to expand that a little bit. It's called Holiday Trip though, so I don't know if this is actually like relevant. And yeah, I level up all of my operators to Elite 1 level 50 right now, so this should be good. Oh, it's immediately just a level. Okay. Okay, need to be careful with this mechanic because this damages the enemy and also my unit, so yeah. I guess it's kind of like a safe bet to place this, right?
Success is inevitable.
This operator doesn't actually die. If she dies, she's just going to come back 20 seconds later, so like that. She just basically like plays a copy of herself. So that's nice. But I think we got it.
Mission accomplished.
Okay. Not that hard. Do we get the story?
Mission complete.
Nope.
Good.
Okay, what about AW2? Will we get a story here?
I want everyone to get home safe.
Oh, what the? Mudrock Colossus. Mudrock's direct manipulation. What does that even mean? Who is Mudrock? I haven't reached that point in the story yet, so I don't know who is Mudrock. What am I supposed to do with that? Oh dear, those things are starting to move. So I'm going to assume that's bad, right? Is this a friendly unit or is this like enemy unit? I can't tell. Can I use my operator to deal damage to it?
Success is inevitable. No need to leave it to chance.
Yes. And it kind of like charges this thing. Oh god.
Arch unit charging.
Heal. Okay, it's almost at full charge. Okay, 81, 82. Okay, that guy also attacks that unit though. Oh, she is attacking the device. Okay, that's not good. Oh, and that thing is heading to the. Oh, what are you guys doing? Why are you stealing? Oh, you cannot. Okay, so it's a timer type of thing, huh? You must destroy them with this, otherwise those two giants is going to head and wreck everyone in their place. Okay.
I'll make him disappear.
Alright, I kinda see what's going on. Oh, so now it's taken by the enemy. Okay, I see.
Roger.
Okay, now I know what to do. Okay, so I guess all of these are just like special challenges that you can do, right? Because the level requirement keeps like increasing down here. So this is 20, this one is Elite 1 level 1, This one is Elite 1 level 35, which is like around the place where my units can. So this is basically the story of the event. Oh wait, hold on. So these are the two characters we've seen in this story, right? We see them earlier. These two though, we haven't seen them yet, so maybe we're supposed to like play them all? Okay, let's see then. Let's see. November 28th, 5 p.m. Southern Kazimierz, on a small road hard to traverse by car.
Mr. Mlynar, please try a bit harder to remember. We've met before, when you and the representative from the Westland Company were bidding on a Gale Industries engineering contract.
I told you, I don't remember.
It would have been 3 years ago, when the Blood Knight won the major. They were broadcasting the award ceremony at the restaurant where they held the banquet after the auction.
I've never paid any attention to those night games.
Then, do you remember toasting with every last representative from Gale Industries? You were pretty drunk by the end. I can remember it like it was yesterday. I never imagined it could be so difficult for the sales department of a large company to make a single deal. Considering the results though, I'd say you got a pretty good deal yourself. At the time, a lot of our representatives were quite impressed with you, even though
flattery will get you nowhere. We just happen to have crossed paths. You don't need to see this as a favor, nor should you expect me to ask for anything in return.
How can you say that? If I hadn't met you, I'd still be wandering around lost in the wilderness. Look, I'm not trying to suck up to you. I really just want to thank you. After we get back to Kawaleriki, I swear I'll find a way to express my gratitude.
If you still plan to make it back on time, then you'd best focus on the road and watch your step, miss.
Sorry, these hills are way too high, and it's hard to keep my balance.
Miss Desk.
You'll have to forgive me for looking so unprofessional. Ah, shoot! Where's my lip gloss go? At least I had the papers in the binder so they didn't get dirty. Please, give me a minute to get my stuff back in order.
Let's take a break here.
Okay. I really am sorry about all this, Mr. Mlynar. I wouldn't have had to bother you like this if my rental car hadn't broken down. I only just drove it from the rental company to the hotel last night, and the engine was already dead by morning. I'm going to have to sue these guys for renting me a defective car. Oh, by the way, if you ever run into any other problems like that, I may be able to help you out. It's my area of expertise.
I'm good.
Oh, right. I still haven't told you about the case I'm working on. It concerns a little village called Tuerza. It was originally owned by a noble knight named Marek, who mortgaged the land to Gale Industries about 7 years ago. But after that, he turned around and sold it to the villagers living there. Naturally, they assumed they'd finally have the opportunity to own land, so they brought the farmland for 10 years' worth of taxes. But half a year ago, Mr. Marek passed away to illness, and only did Gale Industries put the development of Tuerza on the agenda. That's when we discovered that a lot of the title had gone underwater. A good chunk of the villagers defaulted on the loans they took out years ago to buy the land, were suddenly informed that it no longer belonged to them. Isn't that a bit outrageous?
I don't recall asking you about any of this.
I just thought you'd be interested in the dark underbelly of a business you're working with.
I don't need to hear yet another story of a lawyer seeking to right the world's wrongs.
Righting the world's wrongs? I certainly wouldn't say that. This is just my job. By the way, Mr. Mlynar, why are you leaving Kawaleriki? Are you also on a business trip?
Vacation.
Oh, lucky you. I don't even remember the last time I took a vacation. Maybe it was back when the Black Knight won the championship? I had money on that tournament, so I thought it'd be a good time to treat myself. But my earnings didn't actually add up to much. Oh, sorry, I had to take the call real quick. Hello? I'm very sorry, I still haven't arrived at my destination due to some unforeseen circumstances along the way. No, don't worry. There won't be any delays. I swear I'll complete the negotiations by today and report back to the company. Yeah, I'm fully aware that this was an error on my part, and I'm fully responsible for the consequences. Oh, they hung up. the director is going to chew me out again when I get back. And I thought getting sent all the way out here was already bad enough.
You said you were here to handle the suit regarding the acquisition of the village's lands?
That's right.
But you mentioned something about reporting back to the company over the phone.
I think you're misunderstanding something, Mr. Mlynar. I am in charge of the land acquisition suit, but I represent Gale Industries. Phew, we're finally here. Are you alright, Mr. Mlynar? Should we find somewhere to rest?
Excuse me, are you Miss Des, the attorney?
And you must be the attorney who contacted me earlier, Mr. Ham. Sorry for being so late. As you can see, there were some unexpected issues along the way.
No worries, it's perfectly understandable, considering how far we are from Kawaleriki.
So, Mr. Mlynar, want to grab a drink after I'm done with all this? I hear the villagers here having a tradition of brewing beer.
I'll pass.
Alright then. In that case, thanks for all the help.
Miss Des, can we get started right away?
Oh, of course. Lead the way.
Good. Now follow me, please. So, lawyers from big companies even take special attendance with them on business trips, huh?
When I took the case, I thought I'd have to take time to explain all the legal mumbo-jumbo to the residents, but I never thought they hired a lawyer of their own.
The villagers turned to an NGO called Kazimierzan Rural Dispute Mediation Association, which sent me to deal with the situation here in Twerza.
Great, having a professional on their side makes this much easier. But before we officially get started, Mr. Ham, I'd like to make sure we're both on the same page. According to our prior communication, you've already informed the residents about the ownership disputes over Twerza land, and everyone has agreed to the demolition of the village.
Correct. I also reached out to Mr. Marek, sole heir, his son, Mr. Marek Jr. He is currently serving as a campaign knight and has no interest in reclaiming ownership. Though the legal dispute has not yet satisfactorily resolved, our most urgent task is to provide relief to the villagers. Furthermore, we hope that both parties will be able to privately reach a peaceful resolution so as to avoid the complicated deliberation process of the National Council.
Naturally, time is of the essence. The quicker we can wrap this case up, the better.
The villagers of Twerza have authorized me to negotiate with Gale Industries on their behalf, and I promise to secure fair compensation for the demolition of Twerza and their relocation. So, with that said, let's start by discussing the plan proposed by the villagers. We hope that Gale Industries will allocate housing to each inhabitant at a ratio of 10:1 according to the area of arable land owned by each household and compensate the demolition of 80,000 marks per household.
May I ask how they arrived at these numbers?
They were a result of a professional market valuation as well as collective discussion among the residents. Considering the detriment their relocation will have upon their lives, as well as the strength of Gale Industries' financial position, I believe these numbers are fair to both parties.
Naturally, you have the right to offer your price in a negotiation. If you have nothing more to add, I'd like to present Gale's initial offer. We will provide housing within the city at a ratio of 3:1, according to the area of each person's residence, as well as 800 marks per household to compensate for the demolition.
That's pretty far.
If you couldn't hear me clearly, I can repeat that.
Miss Des, I don't think this is the time to be cracking jokes.
This isn't a joke, Mr. Ham.
In that case, I suppose I have to start from the top and break down our valuation of Twerza lands.
Let's hear it.
Let's compare it to the closest neighborhood village, Strumiko. The lord there made a deal to sell all his arable land to Mieszko at the final price of 500,000 marks per hectare. In terms of the quality of the arable land, as well as geographical location, it is very comparable to Twerza. As such, that price should certainly serve us as a reference point.
Coincidentally, I also happen to be familiar with the sale you just mentioned. But isn't it too early to equal these two situations?
Please elaborate.
First of all, despite the fact that both villages are some distance from Kawalerski, there's a road leading straight to Strumiko, where Stwerza is only accessible via a long, rugged mountain trail. The two villages also differ significantly in terms of traversability and accessibility. A large portion of the land in Twerza is occupied by mountainous terrain. Secondly, the quality of the arable land you brought up is a fictitious concept. By conventional standards, it is more sensible to assess farmland by the value of the crops it produces. In Strumiko, the village has a complete production line, from the planting and harvesting of grains to the processing of foodstuffs. The value of the land's output is indisputable. By contrast, Twerza's main crops is hops, and the village's sole beer processing factory closed down months ago. Reportedly, the site also had serious problems with environmental pollution. Therefore, an evaluation of Twerza must also take into account the profitability of its crops, as well as the detriment posed by its lack of accessibility. From a multifactorial analysis, the land occupied by these two villages could hardly be more different. I fail to see how it can serve us as a reference point. There may be truth in what you say, but our claim for compensation does not arise solely from the value of the land itself. We must also take into account the fact that the villagers here will be forced to relocate, changing their way of life and requiring them to learn a new trade. It is primarily for this reason that they require compensation. Mr. Ham, I'm not sure if you've checked the statistics or not. 10 years ago, there were 215 households in Twerza, of which 85% were engaged in agricultural production, using 95% of the arable land. But as of right now, there are 137 households, with the two aforementioned metrics falling to 15% and 21% respectively. In other words, in light of the fact that most residents have already shifted to light industry and handicrafts as the main livelihood, that notion that Gale Industry has any obligation to compensate them just for living on arable land is perhaps a little unreasonable. Even the smallest voices deserve to be heard. Mr. Ham, did you know that a little over 10 years ago you could still see newsstands and the like in the streets and alleyways of Kawaleriski? People who couldn't get their hands on a ticket for the night competitions could only wait at these newsstands, hoping to get results of the games from a paper hot off the presses.
Of course, I was one of them, back in my teenage years.
However, with the recent rise of intercity networks and logistics, you'll be hard-pressed to find a single newsstand in the city these days. Tell me, did the people who used to run them for a living get a single bit of compensation from the government? Is that your idea fair?
I don't think your analogy is entirely appropriate here, but now that we're talking history, Miss Des, you should also know that across the history of civilization, the endless annexation of land has always been a major destabilizing factor. When we settle on the price for the land here in Twerza today, we will also be setting a reference point for other villages' land transactions in the years to come. If the National Council were to weigh in on this matter, do you think they would allow Gale Industries to buy Twerza land at such an absurdly low price?
Mr. Ham, you seem to be misunderstanding the fundamental issues at hand. Gale is paying compensation, not buying the land. When you trace everything back, Mr. Marek's deal with the Gale came first, while his deal with the villagers came afterwards. From a legal standpoint, we already own the land. While we have an obligation to compensate the residents out of social responsibility, your attempt to treat this as a payment for the land itself is completely unfounded.
Regardless, I'm afraid the villagers will find the meager sum you propose to be quite unpalatable.
Of course, that was our initial offer, and there is still room for negotiation. Even in the worst-case scenario, both of us reserve the right to request arbitration from the National Council. But when that time comes, the judge will hear all the exact same arguments I've made today. How confident are you that you can fetch a higher price in court?
Then
how about we reevaluate what a fair compensation for the demolition and relocation would be?
Yeah, normally I would find a lawyer who sided with like a big company unfavorably compared to like the villagers that live in the area, you know, knowing all the corporate stuff.
A toast to a successful negotiation, to a signed contract.
Cheers. It doesn't look too happy though.
I can remember the last time I got to kick back and knock down a drink like this. Guess this business trip wasn't all that bad.
Your business trip has been a total disaster for me though.
Don't be so hard on yourself, Mr. Ham. There's not a lawyer out there who wins all the time. Besides, this was just a private settlement. It's perfectly normal not to get everything you want. Take it easy. A lawyer's career is long and meandering, so just keep working at it. All I know is, right here and now, the beer is amazing.
To be honest, Miss Des, I've known your name for a long time now. The Red Wine once reported that you've never lost a case on the fence. You're considered a gold star attorney even among the many experts of the long-reign law firm.
Oh, you're gonna make me blush.
When I heard that you would be representing Gil in this case, I already knew it would be hard for me to gain any sort of advantage. Nevertheless, I tried to prepare for the negotiation as best as I could, but you're indeed more capable than I imagined. So, there's something I'd like to ask you, Miss Des. As an experienced professional, what do you think went wrong with my handling of my cases?
Oh, I can tell that you put a good amount of time into it, but all in the wrong direction.
The wrong direction?
Alright. Enough talking about work. No Discord, no Concord. Come on, bottoms up!
Now that the contract has been signed, can you answer a question? How much money do you stand to make from the handling of this case?
That's a fairly touchy subject, wouldn't you say? Well, why don't you take a guess?
Considering your reputation within Kawalerki legal circles, I'd guess at least 50,000 marks, if you can get the price down to within the expected margins.
Try again.
100,000? I don't even want to think about it then.
Actually, Gale gave me 1 million marks to resolve this case. In other words, if I can get the price down below that, the rest of the money is mine. Yeah, I cannot actually relate to this girl. She's a lawyer, alright, and lawyer don't have hearts. Yeah, you cannot expect me to like get her as like a playable character if she ever was one.
No, sir.
Oh, but I'd still have to cut off for taxes, you know.
I don't think I'll ever see that kind of money in my life.
But the most important thing is, the beer here is something else. Give me another mug, barkeep. Right away. The beer here uses our signature fermentation method. You won't taste this stuff anywhere else. Huh? Nowhere else?
Oh, short. You just destroyed the village that gave you the beer.
Ma'am, can I interest you in talking business? I'd be willing to buy the recipe from you. Just name your price. I'm afraid I can do that. Dad would never agree to it. Besides, even if I gave you the secret recipe, you wouldn't be able to do anything with it. This kind of beer can only be made with hops grown in Twilza. If you like it so much, buy some extra to take with you. Also, the land here was just purchased by the General Chamber of Commerce. The next time you come, there might not be any hops left. Oh, what a pity.
Miss Des, do you think I have a chance of getting into long reign?
Excuse me?
Sorry, I know I have a long way to go, but please, if you could put in a good word for me, even if it's just for an internship, I swear I'll give it my all.
And here I was thinking a well-intentioned lawyer representing these poor villagers would look down on a firm that specialized in corporate clients.
No, I've never thought like that. A lawyer's job is to fight for the clients, no matter who they are. There's nothing I can say to that.
Even it's to help large corporations squeeze out innocent and helpless civilians? There's no justice in that, is there?
I've been practicing law for 5 years now. Who still believes in justice in this day and age? Even if I rummage through all those massive codices of law, I doubt I'd find a single mention of the word. Actually, I do remember this saying from a book in a legal theory. How did it go again? Laws only bring absurdity, never justice.
The notion that justice can be achieved through man-made laws is absurd on its face.
Right. That's the one. Not to mention, how can a small-time lawyer like me, how can I even afford a decent place to live in Kawalerski? What do you think, Miss Des?
Huh? Oh, sorry, I spaced out a little. I was just thinking, if that nice girl knew that I'm the cold-hearted lawyer who squeezed them out of their compensation money, would she kick me out of the bar? My bad. I think I've had a bit too much to drink. I need to go outside and cool off, so let's talk about all this work stuff later. Yeah, you better regret it. She lifted her head and suddenly realized how out of place her long breath seemed. The quiet night shrouds her, as if she's remembering for the first time to pull down the curtains to block the never-ending stream of lights. So, you can still see the stars outside of Kawalerki. Many years has it been since I last saw a starry sky? Hello everyone, my name is Des, and today I'll be starting as a novice lawyer in training. This is my first ever case. Starting today, I'll use everything I know to uphold the dignity of the law and protect justice. Hey, why is everyone laughing? Did I say something I shouldn't have? It really has been so many years. Oh, Mr. Mlynar, you're still here. Thank goodness. I've been busy all day and was worried that you already left and wouldn't get a chance to thank you.
There was an incident along the highway, and they had to temporarily block the road. Also, don't forget your things next time.
Oh, that's the ID badge on my work uniform. Wait, when did the strap break? Was it when I fell down earlier?
Someone took note of you.
Huh? Ah, thank you. I guess that means you saved my hide again.
You seem to be in a good mood. Did you secure a good price for Gale?
It was a passable deal. Do you also think I'm an unethical lawyer?
You'd never hear such naive, senseless words out of my mouth.
There's something I'd like to ask you. Did you know that after that bitter conference back then, a rival Westland company was sued for serious defects in the construction materials?
I might have seen something like that in the papers. Even in a place like Kawalerki, where it is uncommon to cut corners in the construction industry, the reporter still gave it a full-page article. Then you throw in the fact that the National Council slapped enough fines on them to bankrupt them. People are going to remember that.
You really do know your stuff, huh? Or rather, you knew all along, didn't you? You knew how Westland operated, which is why you spared no effort trying to secure the contract, so they wouldn't get their hospital construction project.
I didn't expect to hear such naive, senseless words from a seasoned attorney.
Naive?
I have no idea how you came up to such a ridiculous conclusion, so I'll just assume you were trying to insult me.
Sorry, not at all. I was just trying to make small talk.
It's getting late. I'll be heading back now.
You're not going to try the specialty beers here?
I never liked drinking.
I just wanted someone to chat with, but looks like I said something I shouldn't have again.
Des slowly walked towards the not-so-fast farmland by the side of the road. After the autumn harvest, the fields of straws were neatly pressed down, resembling an all-natural mat. The aroma of hops coalesced with the scent of the humid air, leaving a deep impression in her nostrils. She lies down and extends a finger, gesturing at the stars in the sky as if searching for something.
Where are the stars that make up Libra right now? Hello? Yes, it's me. There's nothing to worry about. There were no issues in signing the contract. I'm very sorry, but it's too late for me to return to Kawalerki tonight. Yeah. You may deduct the extra day from my annual leave. I assure you, there will be no further delays, and I'll submit the contract to the company. Oh, hung up again. Jeez, I just want to gaze at the stars in peace. Maybe it's time I change things up a little.
Miss Desk, I still have some things to attend to here, so I won't be seeing you off. I've learned a lot from our negotiations. Thank you very much.
You're too humble. Seriously, if I ever see you back in Kawalerki, I'll take you out for another drink.
I should probably be the one picking up the tab next time. Oh, and one more thing. About the long-range law firm.
That's still on your mind, huh? To be honest, it's not like I can give you a recommendation. So, how about I give you a simple examination first? Take a look at this.
This is the land sale contract between Mr. Marek and Gale.
Take a closer look. Do you see any problems with it?
I don't see anything wrong with the terms, and the details are fairly comprehensive as well. Wait, the signing party isn't Mr. Marek, but rather his son. He was still alive at the time, and the contract provides no evidence that he ever authorized his son to act as his agent. Mark Jr. should not have been eligible to sign this on his father's behalf. But that's not all. Mark Jr. is a campaign knight now, so why does he have so many dealings with Gale? In other words, based on this, Gale Industries has no claim to the land of Twerza village.
Not necessarily. After all, Mr. Marek has passed away, and Gale has countless other ways of backing up the transaction.
But this is a critical breakthrough in the case. Miss Des, couldn't maliciously leaking confidential information like this lead to disbarment?
I happened to accidentally lose some sensitive information at the site of negotiation. How could that possibly be considered malicious?
I should have seen this coming.
Actually, you should have requested these documents from Gale Industries at the very beginning of negotiations. They'll probably look for a way to cover it up, but it'll at least set them on the back foot. But failing to take this into consideration was an error on your part.
So instead of making a fuss over the value of the land, I should have tried to challenge the legitimacy of the Gale's claim in the first place. Is this what you meant when you said I went in the wrong direction?
See? All you needed was a little hint. You're pretty sharp after all. For a lawyer, having the right evidence is akin to having a bullet, but you still need the right gun for it to be effective. So, Mr. Ham, what do you plan to do next?
I'll need to think this through carefully.
I'll still submit the contract we already signed to Gale Industries. During that time, you can file a lawsuit with the National Council on the basis of newly discovered evidence. It doesn't matter whether you want to renegotiate the compensation or reject Gale's ownership of the land altogether. Regardless of the final outcome, you can still put this whole experience on your rest time. Then, you can try to talk to Longreign.
But why are you doing this?
Why are you taking such a huge risk?
To help the villagers here.
Oh, don't get it twisted. I'm not that great of a person. Just think of it this way. I'd like to have another opportunity to enjoy Twerza's beer in the future.
Yes, these are the victims from the incident last night. A minibus bound for Dvonek. Do you recognize this old man? That's strange. I've been delivering letters for decades, and I've never seen him send or receive anything. He's never even bought a paper before. Doesn't seem like an educator at all. By the way, want a copy of today's paper? Find out about what happened in the incident for a low price of 50 hellers. Word on the street is that some infected was causing trouble, protesting about how they couldn't live in the city. Get a load of those thankless dogs. Who did they even think let them in the first place?
Mr. Mlynar! My car's all fixed up now, but mind showing me the way again?
I'm heading to Zonek. It's not on the way to Kawalerski.
Oh, I won't be going back to Kawalerki for a while either. Heading to Zonek doesn't sound too bad.
And what do you plan to do there?
I don't have anything particular in mind yet. But maybe I'll treat myself to a little vacation, and then find a new job.
Well, we did get a little bit of a character arc there. At least she's done the right thing at the end. You couldn't say that to like a lot of lawyers, in real life anyway. Maybe she has hearts after all. Oh boy. I was actually like thinking that the most slimiest thing that she can do right there was to return to her law firm, claim the 1 million price mark, and then left, right? Honestly, with like my limited amount of knowledge about like how the law works, that is a pretty decent writing on how the law system works and how like you make arguments in like a negotiation settlements and stuff. Very well written, honestly. And all of that was told in like 30 minutes of me talking. Of course, you can do that faster if you just read the dialogue instead of speaking them. Very interesting. Okay, so the next one will be... what is that? Flamestar and Ashlock? Okay, let's continue on the story. I Have Gaze, Part 3. To Mlynar Nerl. I haven't heard back in some time. It may be you're too busy with life in Kawaleriki to exchange letters with an old friend. I respect your choice, and I hope all is going well for you. I've heard many anecdotes from the nightclub. Should we have another opportunity to convene? I'd be happy to tell you in person. My affairs are still a far cry from my ideal, but I've no regrets. I only intend to waste so much ink on civilities. Let me be candid. I write to you for this reason. Selena has been arrested and sent to the Grand Knight territory. She is the most devout, refined knight I've ever met, a companion in arms, and my true love. I need not say more. You must remember her. Red of hair and signal flare, laughter that could smooth any furrowed brow. So many times she has led us out alive from the place of death. I could never accept her being the first to leave us. I swear on my knight's honor that Selena is innocent. Indeed, it is her upstanding nature that has so bristled the murky-hearted politicians and merchants. It is not right that a knight like her be a sacrifice to the petty sons of such authorities. Were we facing a foreign foe, be they the shield guards of Ursus or the Kunsteditor of Lithuanian, I'd be charging headlong at their ranks, fighting until my armor is shattered and my lance is in twain. But against the National Council, against the General Chamber of Commerce, I am powerless. Mlynar, it pains me greatly to disturb your pipe of peace. Still, I have tried all else, and now I can only beg your help. I beseech you, while I cannot do this myself, pass on this evidence in my place, and thereby clear her name. For you are my friend, and you are an earl. This is no lovesick entreaty, Mlynar. This is not why I beg. I simply ask that one worthy knight save another. Sincerely, your old friend, Zibor. The letter had been opened and placed back inside its envelope. It sat in a sea of so many papers, stowed away in a jumbled drawer. Two days ago, November 27, 2 p.m. New district, Zonek, construction area. Dead end ahead. Could probably pile more against this door. Man, that's a swarm of people out there. I still don't get it. Why are they attacking us? Did I say something wrong just now? No, they didn't give you a chance to. It's more like they're indiscriminately lashing out. If I remember right, and I'm pretty sure I do, the task we got was to make contact with all the infected orcs forming around the Casimir's border towns, not pacify local infected mobs. I'm guessing our intel a little old. This is our first real formal mission since we hit Rhodes Island. Do they always handle problems this tricky? It was bound to be more complex, compared to taking down single opponents in the area. What now? Think we should just fight out of way if we gotta? Rhodes Island employee regulations say our first priority when facing sudden conflict with infected in the field is to maintain basic self-control. Well, this sure as heck isn't the time to start reciting the handbook. You two, this way. Come with me. This should be far enough. Most people won't know about this passage. It's not fully built yet. Ew. Thanks. Can I ask, why did you... You're Ashlock Knight and Flametail Knight, right? Huh? What? Ashlock Knight! I'm a die-hard fan of yours! I've seen every single match you're in! Wait, you have the cannon! That's the one you had when you beat Brasrust! I still remember how that went. You spared Brasrust Ingra right at the end, and then fired a shot into the air, right? That was so cool! It looks like on TV! No, wait! It looks a little bigger, even when you see the real thing. Can I touch it? Wow, Ashley,
Figures would still find fans of yours this far out from the GKT. Oh yeah, I'm super into you too, Flametail Knight. So, can I ask who you are? Oh, sorry. I got too excited. Forgot to introduce myself. I'm Zeno, one of the infected here work in Zonek. I guess I am a foreman, to be exact. We heard they were infected in Zonek, setting up a mutual aid group. Are you part of it too? Well, you see, the infected here weren't originally allowed to live in the cities. Gale Industries started constructing a new sector here some time ago, and they needed a lot of hands on deck for that, so they hired a few infected and brought them in to work. At first, everyone felt like they've gotten a once-in-a-lifetime chance for some honest work. But gradually, you heard more and more complaining. A lot of people got the sense that they were paying us way too little compared to regular folk. It's not like we were ever going to get as much as they do. But some things are worth trying, I guess. Just like how the Blood Knight fought for a new path for the infected. So, I was really in support of us organizing to protest against Gale Industries. But after that, well, you've seen what it's like outside. So, the rioting, the raids, that was all infected hired by Gale? No, not anymore. Not all of them, at least. I got no idea where all those people came from. We're getting nowhere like this. It's only going to make the situation worse and worse for the infected. Actually, from the sound of it, do you think someone deliberately went and lit the fuse? Hey, it's almost over though. Just watch out for a few days and you two will be fine. Almost over? Oh yeah, what are you two doing in Zonek? Sightseeing? Maybe an exhibition match? Actually, we're not even competition knights anymore. Now we partner up with a drug company dedicated to curing oropathy. Our work's different, but our ideal of helping more infected sure isn't changing anytime soon. And we're here precisely to bone up on what living conditions are like for the infected in these parts. Though, you know, the situation sure is a little more than we bargained for. If you're a Knight sports fan, then I'm afraid what we're here to do is going to disappoint you. Excuse me? Who care about those fancy pants Monday nights with their sponsored gear and the dumb show fights? I love the Pine and Sylvester's nightclub. I love it when you guys make those nobles remember the taste of dirt and channel the fury of all of us infected. Since they already know our might thanks to you guys, it's not like you've got to stick to arena blood sports forever, you know? The fact you get to help the infected even more now is like... I'm more happy for you than it's ever possible to be in a single moment. If you really do have a medical organization working to treat infected, then that's just... man, how do I even imagine it? Anyway, can I just... I know it's a little awkward, but like I'll ever get this chance again. Ashlock Knight, can I get your autograph? Of course. Just hold on a moment. Sorry, I don't think I've got a pen on or paper on me right now. Oh, but I do have a signature from the Radiant Knight with me, and I may as well give it to you. You'd probably appreciate it more. It's okay, I've got more chances to meet her in the future. You're so kind! Thank you! But, if it's okay, I'd actually prefer your signature. Huh? Why? The Radiant Knight's really great and all, strong and upstanding and everything. But for us regular infected, seeing knights like you standing in the arena is even more of an inspiration. Sona, lend me your sword for a sec. Sure, but what are you gonna do? Carve your name on a helmet? Jeez, leave it to you, Ashley. It's not too good of an autograph, but I'd say you can make it out. Take this, if you don't mind it. Thank you! Thank you so much! But this is just too precious of a gift. I can't accept this! It's okay. I'm over the moon just getting to meet you two today. And sorry, but I've got some work I need to do now. I've got just one request. If possible, could neither of you tell anyone you saw me? Wait. I've gotta go. Hope we can meet again! We interrupt with breaking news from the city. Zeno Shelvin, ringleader of multiple infected incidents, including the riot that took place days ago in the new district, as well as the assault and clash with guards at the city entrance, has given himself up today. The suspect was a worker recruited from Gale Industries' infected Helba program. He claims to have long been dissatisfied with his life, which led him to planning the recent riots. Gale Industries, the firm in charge of principal construction of the new district, stated that they would work as fast as humanly possible to repair any damage to the buildings, alongside making reparations to the residents. In addition, they plan to tighten up security administrations and put an end to any similar incidents. We remind all residents that you are urged to take proper safety measures in the event you need to leave the city. We would like everyone to remain calm.
Giving infected work my ass. It's just trouble for us normal folk in the end. Wouldn't they all be wild Gloompins or Chow by now if Gil never gave them a chance? He's got some nerves being dissatisfied with life. Never should have let them in the first place. Not one good thing about the infected. But now they're here, and they try to bring all their friends in too. Look at the recent news. They don't even give two shorts about the guards.
News says he turned himself in.
He wouldn't do that.
I don't want to believe it either, but what gives? He was right there with us when the riot broke out. There's no way he took part in it, but... You're kinda worried too, right? What if Zeno really was the guy who set it all up? The big corp has always had an iron grip on what news reports. They could suppress a single person's voice without lifting a finger. There's too much suspicious about this. But, on the other hand, I feel like I can't really say anything off the table for an infected, no matter how extreme. I mean, after you've gone through so much... I just... don't want this to be a sort of person he is. My intuition telling me the same thing. This isn't the kind of thing he would do. Well, if we care this much, then forget Rhodes' employee regulations for now. Let's get to the bottom of this, Banner Sylvester style. We just need to pick up the pace a little, and we won't get caught. I bet the doctor would understand.
And how do we do this?
Suppose Zeno is the prime suspect in this whole outlash. How'd they be dealing with him right about now? With an incident this level, they probably ship him off to the Grand Knight territory for the National Council to handle. So, if Zeno hasn't been sent to GKT, and he's hiding somewhere else, doesn't that mean something else brought on this whole shebang? I mean, obviously, Zonek is smaller than Kawalerki, but it's still going to be hard finding someone who doesn't want to be found. Not necessarily. Let's do it just like we used to. First, we test the waters. If what Tolan said before is still valid, then maybe we can find a bounty hunter and start our inquiries there. And then...
Sona?
No, I think my eyes just went funny. Felt like I recognized someone just now. You know what? Let's get a move on. Built to stand testament to Casimir's and Lithuanians' friendly diplomatic ties, the Voice of Knights is now nearing completion. The cutting of the ribbon is anticipated to take place at the 1st of December. Count Dyrolf, the representative of visiting Lithuanian delegation, will be personally attending and is expected to give a speech. Sadly, the Lithuanian-born celebrity knight, the Candle Knight Viviana, is unable to attend the ceremony. However, she will be giving her blessings to the friendship between the two nations through an external connection.
You're quite transfixed by the statue, aren't you? Pardon? Sorry to accost you so suddenly. I'm just a tourist here on my travel. Seeing you stood before this statue for so long, I couldn't help but try to strike up a conversation. Personally, I greatly admire this work of art. Its creator is one of Lithuania's most distinguished sculptors. The shield transfiguring into a music staff, while the gunblade and wand form notes. A beautiful message imparted to an exquisite design. What are your thoughts? So, a knight's arms and armor can do more than be consumed as ornaments. They can serve as instruments to sing ode to a brief peace. What relentlessly convenient things. You seem to opine that it's not for a knight's sword and shield to perform such mild, elegant passages. They can't even give voice, let alone sing. And yet, better peace and cultural exchange than war and hostilities, correct? If only people could see the cost and value of our current peace. If you let me be so bold more, would you perhaps want military? No. I suppose, in Casimir's parlance, you would be a campaign knight. Why do you ask? The Thanians have a special regard for the city. Zonek,
The Caravan Bells terminus, Casimir's fortress upon the southern frontier. Even after so many years of peace, the bones of sentry towers and turrets lie hidden in its corners. But even back then, even at the height of Lithanian's arrogance, when its war ambitions were most tumultuous, its military has never attempted to outright take this strategic town. The Spirecasters' elite were forced to infiltrate through roundabout means, and that expedition left no survivors. That was 30 years ago, perhaps even longer. Most today would never even touch upon its scars. So I'm very curious as to your view. Mine? If every tourist here is as prudent as you, then I fear Zonic City Hall will need to redouble its efforts to put up this facade. But you're wrong. Like you, I'm also a mere passing tourist. And as for my thoughts, they went and placed it in Casimir's, as if the sheer comedy of it wasn't biting enough. Flamtail Knight? Ashlock Knight? What are you doing here?
So we did guess right. You've got a bunch of plainclothes goons standing around guarding an out-of-the-way building with no roof on it yet, in the middle of a Gil Industries construction district. A little too obvious, don't you think? But hey, you need more than a few goons to stop us.
It's dangerous as hell here. Whoever you saw along the way was only a tiny fraction of the guards. A giant group of them could be here at any moment. Get out of here, quick!
We're here to take you with us. I don't know what kind of tricks Gil Industries is up to, but if they really want to catch whoever started the riots, they're gonna have to do it by the book. We're not gonna sit on our asses and let them play judge, jury, and executioner.
You didn't incite that riot, did you? Ashlock, Flamtail. I'm really grateful you go so far for someone you've only met once, but I can't go.
Why not? Shh, Ashley, footsteps!
Whatever the case, we're getting ourselves out from under their thumb first. Follow us, Sino. We know full well how cities make infected disappear. You can't remain in their hands. This is probably just the beginning. I truly do respect you two, and I'm more grateful than you know for everything you do for the infected. But I'm sorry. All my life, I could never become a knight like you have, fighting in the spotlight for the infected. The most my life is worth is making my family's lives a bit better.
Can you get to the point? Ashley, time's up!
Mark my words, we'll meet again.
Ew, anyone still following? Should be in the clear for now.
Sorry, I got a little harsh just now.
I don't blame you or anything, just calm down a little. Before anything else, we need to take this from the top. Who's there?
Flamtail's sword comes quick as a flash. The instant she hears a footstep, she thrusts her rapier behind her like a shooting star, but it fails to make it far. Its blade is firmly in the grasp of a gauntlet-wreathed hand, rendering her unable to even pull it back. Until the figure in the shadows let it go. So, this is a sort of knight that fars off the arena nurtures. Throwing your blade with no forethought is tantamount to throwing your life away.
I guess my eyes weren't playing tricks on me back near the plaza. I recognize you. You're the head of the Nerals, the Radiant Knight's uncle, right? Never got to talk to you back at Kawalerki, but we heard from the Road Silent people how you did your part to protect the infected back then. Really appreciate that.
I hardly did a thing.
I also hear from the Radiant Knight how your swordsmanship's totally on par with hers, but you only ever go at them when you're angry, so I guess we don't get to ask if you can give us some pointers.
Pinus Sylvestris. Why are you in an under-construction district?
Oh, we came on a commission from Rose Island. We're aiding the infected here. After all, that's pretty much why we founded the nightclub too. We thought it'd be a change at first, actually. But we only found out once we got here that things were a little tanglier than we believe. And that's the rundown.
No, I actually like that. There's no like fade to black, white text lazily explaining what happened. Just a quick flash. I like it. Genshin writers, take notes. Gale Industries?
You know him too?
Only from his few scan exchange. They're nothing special.
From the angle of pushing infected around, yeah, they're nothing special at all. Oh yeah, why are you here?
Just to see what was happening in the city.
Oh, don't tell me you're here about the infected riots too. Could you help us out with this one then?
I never said.
No, I get what you're worried about. We're not planning to butt heads with the Gale's army of rent cops. Our goal might be to rescue Mr. Zeno, but now that it's reached this point, his hidden motive for refusing to escape might just be the key to this whole infected riot conundrum. At least, I hope so. Out of all the infected here, he's the one most willing to link up with us after all.
I never said I supported the infected. But even if this had nothing to do with the infected, it's still a blatant false charge. We can't let more innocents become sacrifices to the cheap stunts of the politicians and tycoons.
Mlynar suddenly turns to look behind him. The Pinus Sylvester's knights follow his gaze, but the end of the alley is empty. The only thing to be seen is the decorative dome of a faraway skyscraper, its neon lights twinkling a romantic wine red in the dark of night. It hits Flametail that she doesn't know what this alley is here to do. He isn't even armed, but if he needs it, she'd only be willing to lend him her own sword.
There will always be more sacrifices. You and I might already be ones. I'll go confirm a few matters. Then, Pinus Sylvestris, I have some questions I'll need to ask you.
You two! I told you we'd meet again.
I'm sorry. No, thank you.
You're thanking the wrong folks this time. Mr. Mlynar here is the one who talked Gale Industries into dropping all charges against you.
Thank you. Which company are you from? Or are you the Lord Noble? No, I'm merely an average office worker. I simply happened to cross paths with someone from Gale recently, and heard talk of the direction they were taking for their business.
Ah, who knew the Nerls had a guy with this sort of talent too?
But I can't make heads or tails of it. How is an ordinary infected like me possibly worth all this effort?
In the face of justice, worth doesn't even come into it. As long as it's in our power, we'll stride forth to meet any unrighteousness. That's Pinus Sylvestris' creed.
Since when?
Since just now!
Alright, true enough. Zeno, what did you mean by using yourself to give your family better lives? And before that, why did you want us to pretend we'd never seen you? Did Gale Industries threaten you into taking all the blame for the riot? I can't tell you.
Mr. Mlynar just talk over your circumstances with Gale. That means they don't plan to give you any more trouble. No need to worry.
Okay then. You guessed right. Gale Industries was under pressure from all sides with the recent infected riot, and they had to come up with an explanation that satisfied everyone. And my family really needed the reward they were offering. As for why they weren't willing to give the workers a proper investigation, I've got as little clue as you do.
If I remember right, Gale's got a subsidiary in the Oripathy protective gear business. Though, after joining Rhodes Island, seeing their ads again is honestly just kind of hilarious.
Who discussed all of this with you? Would you still be able to pick them up? Actually, it was a campaign knight who came to me. What did you say? You, come with me. Okay, where are you taking me? Somewhere you'll be safe.
Yes, our application to allot a team to enter Zonek and aid with the local law enforcement has been approved. Additionally, we can presume he's already noticed someone is monitoring his tracks. After he stepped in to negotiate, Gale Industries released the infected Xeno Shelvin of their own accord. I already checked with them. They have the capacity to cope with the current pressures from public opinion. The next step is to shift the masses' attention to the illegally immigrated infected in the city.
It doesn't matter. Those affairs are theirs to handle as they wish. Our goal has always laid elsewhere. As for now, so now you're willing to step forward for the justice you believe in. Then why not then?
Okay. I'm starting to see a little bit of a drama unfolding here. I think they're kind of like building a confrontation between that old friend of mlynar there, like the knight that we see following him around. He said he is not upset or like angry with him, but yeah, he is basically like sending him like a letter where he expected him to like help his love to like escape from like the government, and he doesn't move his hand. Well, right now there is like a random infected, and he just decided to like help just like that. Oh, and yeah, okay, yeah, this guy over here, they're really building it up towards this guy. So yeah.